All right, here we go. The week in review. Thanks for tuning in. And Adam Schutte here with you. We're going to go over what worked, what didn't work in the past week. Today is April 2nd. Looking back to Monday, which was the March 27th. And I was wrapping up an on-call session with a doctor that I was covering, and kind of got broken, not going to lie, a little bit broken. The request came in the night before, hey, do you have some specific equipment? Of course we do, but not at the hospital at the time, so I had to scramble to look for it. And it was starting to turn out that maybe I couldn't get it, and it was going to be a big letdown and a big upset and a big fail for me. However, at the, after searching for about 2 hours, I called a guy that I know, and who is a colleague, friend, whatever. We did some training together, but it was kind of like a last resort. He happened to have exactly what I needed, shipped this equipment down via courier, didn't arrive until 3 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up, more or less kept my phone on, set an alarm for 3 a.m. so that I would time it when the courier was arriving at the hospital, so that I could then shepherd the courier through the labyrinth of elevators and hallways to be able to find where this tray needed to be sterilized. So then the day of the surgery, or the would-be surgery, the surgeon, and within his total right, changed the plan and decided not to use the instruments that I had kind of gone the extra mile to procure. Look, it has nothing to do with surgeon. It has to do with the job. That's what the job demands sometimes. And I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. So it's something that it's not fun. It's not fun. And, it definitely makes you do some soul searching and question, what matters to you most, and, how do you go about making money in this world? And, all those deep kind of, it's not existential. It's just how do you just, this is what's going to work for me and what matters most. So deep thoughts. But the rest of the week was pretty light, so I was able to kind of recuperate, other than the fact that Tuesday, then I was shipping back everything that I had used over the past 2 weeks for the on-call, as well as for the surgeries that I covered Thursday and Friday last week, which were demanding surgeries, and then the additional things that I had for Monday. So I had a pile of things that needed to go back FedEx. And this is not interesting. I know it's relatively boring, but I have everything boxed up, and it's like ready to go, labeled, photographs taken of everything on the inside, so I know where everything is. And I get a call from our field ops team saying, no, I need a handful of instruments that are inside those things you already boxed up. So I have to unbox everything. So all the work that I did for like an hour and a half was basically for naught, to then print out labels, box them up, ship them out. And it was just, it was rough. That was like salt in the wound for sure on Tuesday. But then Wednesday, I started to do some deep work. I got these cards came in the mail. These are kind of fun. These 52 critical thinking cards. And they basically, what you do is you, see, it's always worth getting through the boring stuff so we can talk about cool stuff. But these are cognitive biases that we can all fall victim to. For example, the illusion of control. We overestimate our ability to control events. And then they give a little anecdote. Allen diligently wears his lucky jersey to every game to boost his team's odds of winning, right? You wear your favorite jersey. I think it's funny, you say, well, it's an illusion of control. Sure, yeah. But if nobody wore the jersey to the game and nobody gave a shit, and there'd be no fans, and you wouldn't influence the game. So you do have a little bit of an influence over the game. Wearing the jersey at home in front of your TV, that might be the illusion of control. But I think we all get what's trying to be communicated here. It says, and then there's a quote, "You will never be able to control anything, any situation, or anyone without consent. So in actuality, there is no control, there's only consent." And that, again, that's specifically that example. And look, these things, they're not the greatest thing since sliced bread, but the fact that we can talk about the illusion of control, and there being consent, that gets into even like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Even if you're being subjected to the, greatest amount of torture, people can make you do things with like putting a gun to your head, but at the same time, they can't make you think thoughts. At least we haven't proven that anybody can control your thoughts to that degree. I guess what I'm trying to say is at least with regards to all the work that I have to do and maybe doing it begrudgingly, well, you could actually completely eliminate that illusion of being controlled by somebody else. I'm the one in control. It's my decision. I can make up my own mind as to whether I want to do this or not. And nobody's forcing me to do it. If I don't like doing it enough, then I should find another job or I should quit. Or I should speak to somebody and communicate my thoughts and emotions and try to get things straightened out, right? So I think that's the reality. It's, nobody's going to be able to control you. Here, let's do another one real quick here. The Dunning-Kruger effect. We tend to overestimate our knowledge or ability, especially in areas with little or no experience. Craig is more confident about doing the dangerous experiment than Amy, his instructor. Okay, the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain about themselves, and wiser people are so full of doubts. So yeah, it's, thinking like, yeah, I got this. I can, I'm sure we could come up with examples of how. And the other thing is, you see this happening so much in the news now, and so many other. It's the internet of authority, right? The internet of like, I know better than you for what? I read 2 posts, and now this is my opinion. I listened to a podcast with somebody who's an expert in the threat of nuclear war, and now I'm going to be able to confidently tell you that, oh, it's definitely going to happen, or it's definitely not going to happen, and you're an idiot for not, being alert to these type of things. So, yeah, again, these are all cognitive biases, and we're all loaded with them, and I think it's the best thing about those cards is at least is an opportunity to try to find the blind spots and try to function and upgrade or improve yourself, or whatever you want to call it. It's at least knowledge is, or awareness is, some sort of power. So yeah, I worked with the cards. I worked with a book on archetypes. I don't know the author, but yeah, I started looking at more my character. What do I stand for? What does this time on Earth mean to me? How can I, maximize everything that I'm doing while not feeling like I'm selling my soul to try to, build one business or the other. And I think where I arrived at, somewhere between Wednesday and Friday, or Wednesday and Thursday night, is that I have a lot of pursuits. I am a multifaceted human being, just as we all are. And I think that we each need to be able to find outlets for all of the things that we need to do to feel whole and complete. So, yeah, sometimes it sucks at work. And sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. I think we have to look at the ratio of those things to the ratio of the good things. And it appears to me that if we were able to adapt in our perspective, the ratio isn't that far off. There's at least, some sort of parity between the really shitty and the really great. And then there's like probably a lot within that bell, underneath that normal bell curve of there being, it's like, well, today was like an okay day, or like for the most part it was good, right? Like, hey, how you doing? I'm fine, can't complain. If I did, you wouldn't want to hear it anyway, that kind of thing, right? So Thursday night, I tuned into a webinar from a career coach, life coach, personal friend, John Mark Shaw, who I worked with throughout the pandemic, who helped me pivot from full-time fitness trainer and small business owner to then pursuing a medical device sales job, which I'm still doing, and I'm bemoaning today. And the reality is that, well, he helped me a lot. So, shout out to John Mark Shaw, plug him. He's a good guy, and helped me hone in on what I wanted to do with myself. And I found that, it was almost 2 years to the day since I had spoken to him last, or at least had officially worked with him. And for whatever reason, I'm kind of maybe in that Seth Godin dip. I'm in the dip. I'm questioning things. I'm saying, is this right for me? Am I doing the right things? And and in that dip, you either double down or you quit. And I think what I realized, so John ended up having a webinar on Thursday night. It was just the right thing at the right time. I said, sign me up. Did his webinar. And I think it clued in, or cued in on a lot of things that I think have already been very obvious to me. And that is that, there is, I'm a business myself. I have my own brand. I should be pushing on all fronts and not getting too caught up with any one channel. And these are the type of things that, probably are like the lessons that I'm trying to lay down in these videos by doing this, is that, if you're getting too emotionally involved in one thing and it's pulling your focus and driving you crazy, then either that thing is wrong for you, or you need to adjust yourself in relation to it. And I find that is probably the more sophisticated methodology or practice to engage in, to look for the way that if you change yourself internally, if you do the work to understand why you're reacting the way that you are, and to balance out the other things that maybe feel like they're being stolen or being inhibited or being taken from you because you're not able, because you're stuck doing this one thing, or you're really focused on this one thing. If you can readjust and say, well, I'm going to give it the time it deserves, but I'm also going to really make sure that I focus on these other things, then I think it balances out rather quickly. As a matter of fact, when I was able to sit down and do the archetypal work with, there were some story prompting cards that I picked up on an app, and then did these critical thinking cards as well. I basically just rapidly cueing myself as to how can I get back to thinking as a human being, as an entity. How can I get back to thinking in a way that is completely free and liberating, right? So how can I get back to the point where I am the puppet master, and I am the shining light, and I am uninhibited, and I'm doing things because I'm interested in them and because I care about them, not because I'm being forced to do it or it's being thrust upon me, right? Those are two different polar extremes. And to be feeling, collapsed and kind of stressed and negative, and then to be able to say, well, I'm going to allow those things to remain a part of my life, not only because it provides me a paycheck, but also because I put a lot of energy towards it, and I do believe that it's something that I can and should be successful at. And beyond that, it's not my whole life, and it's not something that I've put so much emphasis on that it's a must-have for me, And when you create that space between these things, all of a sudden stuff opens up and stuff starts to happen. And what I did was, on Friday, I did a one-on-one private coaching session with John Shaw in the morning, which was a result of taking that webinar the night before. And we talked about the same stuff that we're kind of talking about now, and that is that had some frustrations about my day job, but I also have a lot of other irons in the fire and things that I am pursuing as far as hobbies, creative, home projects, things with my kids. All the other things, are a priority as well. And I kind of realign myself with my priorities and who I am and what I'm capable of doing. It reminded me that getting out there and kicking ass is something that I enjoy doing. And so, I mean, I went over to, I avoid using the names of hospitals, and maybe because I'm not sure if that matters. Well, I went over to New Haven, right? So Yale is over there, and I went over there. I basically walked right into a doctor's office, and the guy was there, and we sat down, and we had a conversation, and I was able to speak to him about multiple things that had I not done the coaching session and had I not gotten my mind right, I wouldn't have gotten out of the house probably that day, or I would have come up with something else to do. But I went in there, stopped by a couple doctors' offices, ended up speaking with one of the top guys over there, and it felt really good, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I should be doing. So, Saturday, fun stuff, circus, kids stuff, just big weekend with the family. That's great. Today, fired up the post hole digger, the gas powered post hole digger. Starting to build out a really nice garden fence for our vegetable garden. And as it turns out, I got down about 2 feet, and there's groundwater. Like, there's water. We're like in a marsh where I live. So it's like I went down 2 feet, boom, there's water. Putting posts, I don't care if there's cedar or pressure treated, you put wood in water, it's going to rot. So I guess the only way around that would be to go even deeper. And I just said, forget it. I'm going to do? I'm going to pour concrete and then put brackets that sit in the concrete there, and then I'll mount my posts onto those brackets. So, stay tuned for that. That was pretty much the week. All in all, it was a good week, but I have to really say, the journaling is key. If I have anything to say about next week, I'm going to just say right now, I journal. I'm on an average of like one true journal entry per week. And I think I got to try to journal 3 times. 3x, if not every day, but really 3 pages journaling. It's a bit of a commitment. So journal 3 times. That would be a 150% increase from where I am now. Or is that a 200% increase? Maybe it's 200. You guys tell me, let me know. Educate me. So yeah, it would be a 200% increase from where I am now. But if you doubled what I'm doing now and then you added another 100, I guess that would be a 50%. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. I could figure it out if I had to. Not super funny. I'm not feeling funny these days. I would really like to get back to being funny. But then I guess that means I would need to take things maybe even more seriously. I don't know. Not less seriously. I'm taking things pretty damn seriously now. God, it sucks. All right, journal 3 times. I've got a meeting at a doctor's office tomorrow. Should be great. I'm ready to rock on that. And then I got a big case on Wednesday. I don't know. I know there's more. I have more to give. And that's all there is to it. God bless. Have a great week. See you soon.